It's episode 100, y'all. And let me tell you what, if you're looking for elk hunting advice, look no further. Pull up a chair and get ready for tons of info and one heck of a full house tonight. And guys and gals, this is one episode you just might want to watch on YouTube. All, and I mean all of the ElkBros are here. The Pennsylvania cat killer himself is in the house. Our two grinders that won Join the ElkBros competition, they're in the house, and it doesn't stop there. Some of our ElkBros friends that live and breathe elk hunting are jumping in to give you some of their best advice too. Paul Medel with the Elk Nut, the Jim Huntsman from the Western Huntsman, Trent Fisher from Born and Raised Outdoors, Dirk Durham, the Bugler, the Not Grande boys, Kyle and Rodney, Chad Ryker from BackCountry Rookies, Michael Batease from the Elk Calling Academy, Guy Duplantier from Western Contours, and Chris Rowe from Rowe Resources, and Trevon Stoltzfus from Outback Outdoors. Oh, and to kick off our 100th episode, get ready, y'all. It's the bone collector himself, Michael Waddell. Yeah, buddy. Take it away, Waddy.
Quick shout out to Joe and all the guys at ElkBro, and congratulations on the 100th podcast and episode. It's awesome. And one thing I've always liked about ElkBros is they're blue collar guys and their experiences. They just kind of give advice based on their experiences. And so what I do like about the fact is they're not saying they know everything. It's just, this is what I know based on my experience. So I very much respect that. So congratulations. And if they did come in and say they knew it all and trying to give you elk advice, then I would say they're lying too, because that's the reason we listen to podcasts. That's the reason we watch videos. That's the reason we try to learn from experiences and take a lot of different advice from different people, is because we're always trying to better ourselves. Just like an elk like this, you want to learn to kill them. And this elk right here is proof that sometimes I still don't know it all and don't know the difference between an elk and a moose. But in this case, this is the nicest elk I've ever shot right here. Got him in the Yukon. He comes screaming in. He didn't bugle, he grunted. That's why I still watch elk podcasts, because I need to learn.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gilliam. You want to hunt elk? They live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Grinder Mike Wilson in Ogden, Utah, located at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains and home to world-class outdoor recreation.
This is a shout out from Jared Politz in Lafayette, Louisiana, well known for his crawfish and Cajun cuisine and maybe a few dedicated elk hunters. Good luck to everybody next season chasing the wild with Petey.
This is Eric Aragon in Las Cruces, New Mexico, the red and green chili capital of the world. Hey, congratulations on your 100th episode. We'll see you boys on the next ridge.
What's up, y'all? This is the Flatlander, Cole Wilkes from Bertram, Texas. Happy 100th episode, ElkBros. I can't wait for episode 200. Keep up the awesome work.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome, everybody, to the 100th episode of the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Show. Hope you enjoy our show tonight. And for those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show from Spring, Texas, and from Katy, Texas. Yes, sir, the one and only Luis Gonzalez, and from the Dallas DFW area, Manano Grateron and from Cimarron, your elk hunting coaches tonight, Leroy the Ninja Chavez and WWJGD, what would Joe Gillia do in the house? And making the crew complete, the Pennsylvania cat killer himself, Brendan Houlihan. What's up,
Brendan, what's up, buddy? Welcome aboard.
What's going on? Hey, great to be here, guys. It's been a long time.
Glad to have you with us, baby.
How long does it seem since Elk Camp, man?
It seems forever. I know it's only been a couple months, but I'm ready to get back. You know, we need to cycle this through.
So the only thing is, Brendan, I had to mention this, man. We just had our video that just came out, Blue Collar Strong, the first one, man. And I'm getting emails already from these different companies that want you to model their long johns, bro. Man, they were like,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, I got all kinds of emails now for pink blankets and everything, man. I mean, everybody's wanting my pink blanket, man. And everybody that snores, y'all got a chance. Look at my nano, he killed me.
Oh, man.
What about a pharmaceutical company?
What are you talking about, Beto? He didn't snore.
Yeah.
He's like, Brendan, did I snore?
That was amazing.
It's straight
We have
up
a
on
great
proof,
opportunity with the pharmaceutical company, Joe.
Big pharma in the house.
yeah, and Brendan had that bruised nose going on too, and
the whole time.
keeping that covered up, man. You can only cover so much ugly, Brendan. Come on.
Wait, bro, you thought this was going to be a welcome to?
I see.
You better have some thick skin.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that nose strip kind of helped me out out there at altitude. I woke up one day, forgot to take it off, and I was like, man, I can actually breathe today. I might try this again tomorrow.
That's just because you were hunting with me, son. You could breathe because I'm slow as hell anyway.
Those first couple days were a nice acclimation period.
It was not coming off. That's all I know, man. It just wasn't coming off. Hey, it's really great to have you here, Brendan, man. Now, the rules of the group is, bud, if you don't jump in,
you last.
Yeah,
you ain't first, you
won't
last.
happen, man. So, yeah, just jump
it's
on
straight
in.
up Ricky Bobby on the show tonight.
Hey, so before we move on to the rest of the show, guys, I need to do a couple of housekeeping items for all of our listeners out there. Guys, again, so cool that you are with us on our 100th episode. And boys, like we know, we've already gone past 200,000 downloads, right? Okay. So tonight concludes Season 2 of our show, and Season 3, everybody, will resume in the second week of January. The ElkBros will be going on a little, we're kind of diving off a little bit during the holidays, and we'll be back with Season 3 in that second week of January. And tonight, though, we want to announce some of the changes that you can expect in 2021. Now, you know that right now, or maybe you don't know, but we produce two types of shows. One is our regular coaching edition that you're seeing right now, in which you get all the bros together to get our content. And our second show that we do is our Insights edition. That's where we interview somebody one-on-one from all walks of life about all things elk. So that's not going to change. Both those editions will still be in our lineup, but every now and then, what's going to be cool is we're excited to be throwing out another chair, and we've had requests from, I don't know why, y'all. I don't know why they would do this to themselves, but they wanted to come in, and we have a guest come in and join the crew. So, man, you talk about gluttons for punishment.
Really?
Brendan goes, that's a fact, man. Brendan thought, I thought I was going to come on here and be welcome, man.
They've been hacking on me since I got on.
Yeah. Mike and Ken, watch out. You're next, probably.
So that's going to be that little bit of a change on there, but we're proud to announce some new programming. First up, within our blue collar elk hunting lineup, we are going to introduce what we call the moment. And these are episodes where myself or one of the other coaches will take you along with a story from one of our hunts or one of their hunts, or a segment within that hunt that we have learning moments that occur. So these are not going to be real long episodes, but they're going to be episodes that you can get something out of. We're going to take you on our back. We're going to let you look over our shoulder, and we're going to tell you about those and tell you about the learning moments that we get out of those. So we're real excited about adding that into our lineup. And I am really, really proud to put this out there that we have. You guys remember how you guys used to watch? What was the name of that show with the fawns? What was the name of that show with the
Happy Days?
Happy Days. There you go, right? Do you remember all the shows that came off of Happy Days? But
oh my gosh, Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley. Yeah.
Yeah. Fawns.
And in fact, I think Robin Williams' show, what was that? Nanu, that came off of
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy, right? Well, we have our own Mork and Mindy in the house.
Ain't no doubt, boys. Ain't no doubt.
So which one's Mindy right now?
We are proud to which one's Mindy. They're gonna be battling that out, man.
They're gonna figure it out.
We are proud to announce that our Venezuelan mafia boys will be producing their own podcast, and it is aimed and made for the Spanish-speaking audience. And I tell you,
so proud.
Oh, I am just so awesome. Proud that that's happening. That doesn't mean they're not going to be with the bros. They are the bros. In fact, their branch is VM Hunters, right? Okay.
Venezuelan Mafia Hunters.
VM Hunters, man. So they will be doing their stuff for that side of it, bringing what we do to an audience that never gets it in the way that we present it. And it's so cool because, you know, they get to give back to folks that they connect to in a way that we never could. And we've got a lot of Spanish-speaking audience here in our country, in Europe, and different places, and I am just excited that we get to bring them our flavor of ElkBros and you two guys, because it's going to be phenomenal, man. I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you, brother. And go ahead, Manano.
Yeah, I'm the leader. So now I'm gonna have the opportunity to go in Spanish. So Luis, I mean, he won't have a chance.
We had to go in Spanish because obviously Manano couldn't keep up with English things. So we had to look for a solution, but no.
Look, I'm telling you, these guys hunt with such passion, and they have such passion for what they do. I knew when, and I'm not pounding my chest a little, but I knew when we coined the phrase, the Venezuelan Mafia, that this was something that was going to just roll. And all I needed to do was push it down that snowbank, and here we go. And I'm telling you, I'm so proud of these two guys. They're the hardest working dudes in our camp. They come ready to throw down at any minute. These two guys are my brothers, and I'll ride the river with them as long as I got 98.6 and a breath in my body. I'm riding the river with these two guys. And I think all of our bros that are here tonight will tell you the same thing. And we couldn't be more honored than to have these boys on the mic themselves with, people of Latin that speak, the Spanish speaking language. And I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. It's really driven me to get on, maybe some more training for me to actually make a cameo on one of their shows and speak Spanish with them. So I got to brush up a little bit.
Me too.
Oh man, it's getting emotional here, guys, and appreciate the support. And I just want to ask the audience to kind of bear with us a little bit as we get started, because the work that Joe does, it's incredible, and there's a lot for us to learn, a lot of wood to cut there, and we need to, learn on the editing, learn on the podcasting, and on all that stuff. So it's a road uphill, but that's why we train. So and we couldn't be more blessed to have Joe and Gilbert and all the ElkBros and Chaff, and so I can't wait to embark on this beautiful adventure with my brother Manano and lead him along the way.
Boy, it's going viral too, folks. It hit Instagram today. Y'all better look out, man. Joe, if I'm not mistaken, brother, we got two of our grinders here on with us tonight.
Absolutely, man. This is awesome. We have such a full house. We got a full crew. And before I introduce those grinders, I want to first take this chance to thank each and every one of you guys that sent your stories into us, because you don't know how tough it was for us. It even came down to having to do some tie-breaking votes on that. Yep. So there were so many cool stories. And look, those stories aren't going to end, man. We're going to be talking about some of those letters in future shows, because there's just some stuff that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, and if your letter didn't get viewed on our show, it wasn't me, Manano, or Luis. It was Joe that picked it. So sorry, guys. He had the veto.
So you heard him just mention those three. So Chav, you got my back, right?
Yeah, we got it.
Chav's got my back. Yeah, and so we are going to be featuring some of those on future shows, and those letters are going to be showing up on our website at different times in the new year under the heading of an elk hunter story. And so you guys that send in those, I will be emailing each of you and asking if you could send me some photos of you and the moments along your journey. Okay.
Joe, some of those guys are like professional writers, man. I mean, it was crazy, some of their stories they sent us in, man.
Oh.
I'm like, wow. I mean, good.
Talk about getting you in the story, you know. Exactly. You kind of, there were some of them I would read and feel Vito Lacus.
Hair stand up on the back of my neck and stuff, boys.
And I want you to know that guys that sent those in, we have something special for every person that submitted an entry to join us. Each and every one of you are going to receive a 1-year subscription to our Blue Collar Elk Hunting Academy Base Camp Training Camp. And I checked, and I believe, and this bothers me too, all those guys that send letters, most of those guys don't have our base camp, man. Right. But that's getting ready.
They do now, Joe.
They do now. And if you do already have it, then give me a name and an email address, and I will gift it to the person of your choice, because our whole goal is to educate, to inspire, and to put people out there in the elk woods, creating some incredible memories like we've had in our life. So with that said, our first grinder that we're going to have up is, he's going to get a chance to introduce himself. He's going to get a chance to get initiated by the group. and I got to tell you, when we received his letter, it wasn't his letter. Luis, was it?
No. It was his wife.
His wife.
Mommy sent it in.
That was the coolest thing, Joe. I mean, when I read that letter, I was like, we have to make this happen. You know, this is way cool. The wife understanding, you know, what her husband really liked and how he enjoyed watching or listening to the show, and just kind of pitching in, hey, you know, my husband, I know he would love this, and I would love this as a prize for him.
In fact, she was traveling with him across the United States.
That's right.
At the time that she sent that email in.
And she said he never would do it himself, but I got to try. You know?
Yeah.
Go ahead on, honey.
So, everybody, Grinder, Ken Sutton. How are you, Ken?
Welcome, Ken.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Great to be with you. Thank you very much.
It's all awesome.
Yeah, so actually from Maryland, Keysville, Maryland. So it was a long trip to Colorado for the hunt. And yeah, my wife rode with me the whole way out. And of course, we're listening to the show. We left on a Tuesday, right after the show aired, and that was our listening of choice on the way out. So little.
What a smart choice that was.
That was. Yeah.
So much appreciate your support, Zach.
I was the one that made that choice anyway. While she was trying to help me out by writing in, I think she was just looking for someone else for me to talk to. About elk hunting. I think she was tired of it at that point.
So
we got them too around here.
You know, I love the way the letter started out, because it was basically, and this isn't word for word, but it's basically like, my husband is a huge fan. I'm not, but he
just straight up, I ain't, but man, he is.
I love the sincerity, you know.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
That was awesome.
For sure.
I was like, I think I emailed back like, say what?
Do what?
Yeah, I was amazed you actually had me on after that.
No, we thought that was so cool. I mean, not only because she was traveling across the United States to go on a hunt with you, man. I mean, that was, and you know, you could tell from her email that you drove her nuts listening to all of our stuff.
That wasn't the first time she listened to it.
For sure. And we got a bunch of episodes, man. I mean, you know, it's our 100th, so you start back at number 1, you can burn up some hours, baby.
Then when we got his letter, I'm like putting 2 and 2, Sutton. That sounds familiar. Wait a minute. What's going on here? I was like, oh, okay. Now we had to put 2 and 2 together. And I was like, oh, there you go.
Looking back at it, I wish I would have known, so I didn't write that.
Sorry, cuz.
Well, it made it a lot of fun, because when I got to tell Ken that that he had won the competition, I sent him a letter basically saying that your letter, I'm afraid I have to tell you that your letter did not win the competition. That's how I started out in the first paragraph, and then I said, but your wife's did.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
It took me a little bit to figure that out when I was looking at it. I kind of skimmed over it. It's like, well, at the bottom it says I won. I'm not sure what's going on. And I looked, and it's like, oh, my wife wrote a letter in.
Yeah.
So that's
that was way cool. As a matter
Really
of fact,
awesome.
I had talked to Joe, and I was hoping that it would have been done as a surprise, meaning that, you know, you would have been logging into a Zoom computer or a Zoom meeting thinking it was something else, and all of a sudden it was a surprise. But logistically, it was kind of complicated to do, and you've already seen why.
Yeah, no, that was just doggone awesome, man. And so you guys traveled out from Maryland to Colorado for an elk hunt, and wow, man, first elk hunt?
Yeah, this is my first elk hunt. Been wanting to do it for 32 years now, well over that. Been dreaming about it, and finally got to the point where, you know what, it's time to do it. Didn't really have anyone to go with, so she said she was going to go along. She actually had some friends that live in Colorado, so the plan was she was going to go see them for part of the trip, but it ended up snowing 10 inches on Sunday. So she was there for the whole time. She ended up being with me the whole time, and it was a lot of fun. It was an experience we'll never forget. That's for sure.
That's cool, man.
What triggered the now?
I had last year. I had some stuff going on at work that I couldn't hunt a whole lot. So I was kind of aggravated that I didn't get to go. And when that was over, I think at that point it's time for me to go do this. Yeah.
But after 38 years, what turned the switch on that?
We ain't getting no younger, Joe.
That's exactly right, Gilbert.
This is a young man's game, son.
I had a hard enough time with it at 50.
No doubt, bro. I'm in the same boat, son.
Round is a shape, Gilbert.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Round is a shape.
I resemble that remark.
Me too.
Well, we got to remember that Gilbert took math too, and he understands circles now.
You dang skippy, I do.
Yeah, I heard that.
Dang skippy, I do.
Did you drive
Joe likes to pull pranks on you.
What's that, Jeff?
That was awesome.
Did you drive all the way, or did you fly part of the way, or?
No, we drove the whole way. We left Tuesday night. We arrived in Craig, Colorado Thursday afternoon. So
Wow.
Drove back to camp Friday morning. Yeah.
How many hours was that?
Oh boy, I think it was 27 altogether.
Wow.
No wonder she's not a fan. If you listen to ElkBros,
Probably slept pretty good.
I had to give in on some of that. We didn't listen to it the whole way out.
It's only 15 shows, Joe. Come on now.
Yeah, we started with one.
So tell me, how was the experience?
Oh, I'll never forget it. It was fantastic. From the trip out, I've flown over that area many times, but never actually drove through it to see it. The hunt was I went with an outfitter. It was a DIY hunt, so I actually hunted on myself. They basically provided food and a place for me to stay. It was a struggle as far as my fitness. That was probably my biggest hurdle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know better for next time. I don't think even hearing you guys talk about it, I don't think you really can realize how difficult it is until you do it. I mean,
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, the plan is to go again next year. So I'm going to have to start on that. And, but as far as the hunt goes, it was fantastic. I'd make the trek up about 1,000 feet and 3/4 of a mile every day. I did see, I didn't get an elk, unfortunately, but had a great time. I did see some elk, which was good.
Yeah.
So you talk about the WWJGD
Yes,
on my
sir.
way down the mountain. That's what I'm saying in the back of my mind when I seen these elk. It was right before dark.
Yep.
So I'm walking down the mountain thinking, okay, what would Joe do here? How am I going to set up on these things the next day?
Exactly.
He'd take a nap in the woods is what he'd do.
I did go down for the mountain.
Brother.
Yeah, camp on.
So I tried to set up on them the next night, and unfortunately couldn't hook up with them again. As far as I could tell, they were all cows. So I had a bull only tag, so I wouldn't have been able to take them anyway. But just the fact that I seen some elk was exciting, and it was a great trip. Really was.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well,
congrats for doing that. It's especially a DIY. I mean, first time, just that driving the distance. I mean, talk about true grinding heart right there. That's pretty admirable, brother. Congrats.
I'm hooked now. I mean, it's to the point where I'm already ready to go next year. Counting the days already.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Ken?
I'm 50. So yeah. So kind of regret not starting it sooner, but you know what? Here's where I'm at. I'm gonna go from here and do what I can.
Best out of it from now.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a lot of good elk hunting years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely, man. And since you just heard the voice of our next grinder in here, the next one in the house,
it's a great segue.
This guy, man, is a legend in his own mind, right?
I don't know if it's just his own mind, but in mine too, brother.
Oh, absolutely. When I read letters about you, and saw the things that you did, it just you had everything. You had it together, man. I mean, the philosophy, the idealism, the actual way that you practice things, and your want to make not only memories for yourself, you were happy with putting meat in the freezer and creating memories for people around you. And that, I think, struck our soul. And you have a lot of experience in the elk woods already. There's a lot of things that you know about these critters and understand, and it's always a learning thing. But I just want to tell you, it's who you are, your value system, your you just really struck an ElkBros nerve with everything that you had in your letter, and it was genuine, man. And just to see the excitement of those of your family members that had gotten animals and goal complete doing that, that was huge. So everybody, let me introduce Mike Bozarth. Mike, will you tell everybody about yourself and where you're from?
Welcome, Mike.
Well, I am Mike, obviously, and I am from Payette in beautiful Idaho, and haven't always lived here, but my wife and I, we decided, we just love it here, and I've been paying non-resident tags forever, so I may as well move here.
I know the feeling.
Getting your priorities right.
That's right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I really, really appreciate I love this show. I'm an adult onset podcast listener, I really haven't, and elk hunter. And I started listening to this show. I actually was listening to another podcast, and in fact, he's on one of the guests tonight on one of the segments. And Joe was on there, and I said, well, I got to check that podcast out. And here I am, man. I listened to you guys and said, oh, yeah.
I only have one problem, though, Mike, is you said that, you're an adult onset thing. Look, this is a family show. We don't do those adult things.
Speak for yourself, Joe.
I was trying to be politically correct.
Unless we go unleash with Beto.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh.
Mr. Bozarth, what do you do for a living, brother?
I work in a gold mine in Nevada.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Cool.
I do.
Straight gold.
Yeah,
cool.
I've been doing that for.
I don't think I've ever heard those words come out of anybody's mouth ever in my life. That's
first time for me, Joe. I mean, look, I've worked around a bunch of miners, and as far I say miners, we did a lot of. When I worked for Smith Bits, we built a lot of hammer bits that were in the mining industry and stuff. But I hadn't had a gold guy, a guy working in the gold.
Way cool, Mike.
When I first started mining, we used Smith Gruner bits.
I worked for Smith. Yeah.
There you go.
Worked for
That's how I met Beto.
I worked for Smith.
It's from him.
Yeah, I met Luis in North Dakota on a drilling rig, delivering drill bits to him. So
I actually started off on a converted service rig for geothermal.
Oh man, that's cool. I forget that's the geothermal country up there.
So when you say you're adult onset, how old are you, Mike?
I am 61.
You're 61.
Oh man.
Well. So I'm 58.
You look younger than Manano, man.
Oh, wait a second, man. I'm 50. I just turned 59, right? Yeah.
Dang sure did, dude.
Yeah. And Chav's going to be turning
59 and holding.
69 here.
69,
right, in February.
That's right. See, I got a lot of years of elk hunting ahead of me.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
You do.
Absolutely.
Mike, quick comment, man. I just want to say when I read your story, I was thinking true grinder, check. Dedication, check. Perseverance, check. Making lemonades out of lemons, check. Right values and principles of a hunter, check. Building memories, check. So your story is freaking awesome, and you can make a movie out of it, man. So
really
what you
cool,
guys,
man.
what you guys did this season was unbelievable. So
it was a great season.
So give everybody, because everybody out there is going, well, how great was it? Give us a little synopsis.
You got 1 minute, Mike. Let's go.
A quick synopsis.
Of this season?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we started out. Elk season in Idaho opens up August 30th. This year, my son and I had different tags in different elk zones. So in different parts of the state, couldn't get our tags together. So he was coming up at a later date. I put a lot of preseason scouting in this year and I wanted to put some elk in the freezer, some meat in the freezer, and hopefully my main goal was trying to get my son an elk and my wife her first deer with her bow this year. And that really was my goal. So my part of it was I kind of put myself on this little time thing. He says, well, if I can get it done in this amount of time, I'll take whatever I can get. And so I was lucky. I switched up I've never sat in the ground blind before or done any of that kind of stuff. I found a place where the cows seemed to hang out a lot. I just took a chance, went up there the first day, and there was, nothing on the cameras, nothing there. I said, okay. So I did what I called the what was that? Can't remember what it is now, but basically most of the hunters weren't there yet. So I went to all the places that, usually are all full of hunters and stuff. So
high traffic areas.
Yeah. High traffic areas. So, I shuffled around drainage to drainage. I had a little hiccup there. All my camp got stolen one night.
Oh man!
But just kept going. I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to go back to that spot. I went back to that spot one morning, and I had like 5,000 pictures of elk on my cameras. I said, well, this is probably the place to sit. And so, so I did, and you could hear them all around. They were there. They were everywhere, and it was so cool because the elk were talking up the hill, and then the bulls started bugling, and pretty soon they were fighting off to my side, and but I killed a bull the year before up on that same mountain, but he was like 1,300 feet above that, and I had a heck of a time getting him out by myself. It took me 3 days, and I was worried about the meat and all that, and so
especially that early. Yeah.
Yeah. And this year was really hot. This year was, I mean, it was 90 something degrees in the daytime. And so that was all that was going along. Those cows came in, and I said, you know what? I told myself I'm just going to, shoot the first legal elk. And so I shot a cow right there. I had to sleep on it overnight before I could find her, and got up the next day, found her, started packed her out, and then had to go back to work for 4 days. And then my son was up. After that, we went up to another part of Idaho, and we got in there, and I took him back into a place that I had killed a elk in there in 2017. He'd glassed up some elk on private. So we just ended up, I went to this place and I said, I bet you there's elk up here. And so I just did some cold calling, and after a while I got one chuckle out of a bull, and that's all it took. So we sat there and played him all day. In fact, we went back downhill, took a nap because the wind was bad, went back up there and played it again, played the old, bull with the cow routine, just kind of breaking.
Put on a little show there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just created the whole scenario, and I could see my son up there in front of me. All of a sudden his head picks up and he's looking, and then he looks to his left, and I didn't get to see the bull come in, but I saw him draw and shoot, and that was like so amazing. And so, yeah, he ended up killing a nice 6x7.
Oh man!
If you got to call in for your boy,
I got to call in for my boy. That was so amazing. He just worked absolutely perfectly.
How old is he?
I think he's 34.
Oh, cool!
Pretty cool.
So that was his first elk, and I couldn't have been happier, and. I couldn't have been happier about the pack out too, because we both got it out in 2 trips.
Super cool, man.
Well, I'm going to take Mike. I'm going to step you back just a second, because I talked about the new segment that we're going to put out on our show called The Moment, and you had one right there, and I hope a lot of people caught that you had a bull that you were working that chuckled up on the top. You did not call or engage at that bull.
No.
You put on a show. You acted.
You're just lucky you wasn't hunting with Joe.
and but I think that's so critical. Most people think that they have to scream at an animal to bring them in, and what you did just the opposite. You put up the hand, basically said, no, this isn't about you. This is about a bull and a cow. We're over here having our thing happening over here, and we're just as happy as can be. And that pulled that bull right down, man. He was coming down to see. What?
And the wisdom of understanding the wind and deciding to take a break until things change to their favor.
Yep.
So
yeah,
incredibly well done, man.
I didn't engage that bull personally himself once. I didn't let out a regular bugle, any of that stuff. He chuckled. The only thing we heard out of him all day was one chuckle. Yeah. And that was it.
I hope our listeners
all you needed, though. You knew he was there.
I hope they're really hearing this, and I want you to understand what he just said, because it can be confusing. He said, I did not engage at that bull once. And what he means by that was there was no challenge bugle. There was no bugle going out at that animal trying to convince him to come down. He put on a scenario of a bull, maybe in a breeding sequence, that has a cow introduced and has a bull making bull noises that they do about that time, when they're in that situation. And that in itself, when other elk hear that, they understand what that means. So even though that was his target bull, he did not engage it. He created his own party, and it brought that bull into him. So excellent job.
Cool.
Excellent job, bud.
Yeah,
straight up high level stuff right there, Mr.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And then you got to working on getting your wife tagged out.
Yeah, we took that bull to the taxidermist. Came back the next weekend up was my wife. Sorry about my dogs.
That's all right. Keep going, man.
was my wife. And,
Brendan's in the house, man. He's got cats.
Got cats.
Oh, right on. Yeah, and actually, after we took my son's bull to the taxidermist, we went back and to get my son a deer, and we ended up. He shot some bucks before, but this year he got a really nice Idaho mule deer too on that hunt. And then the next day, or the next couple days later, I took my wife out for her hunt, and we got really fortunate there. We got on some deer, and she made for her first deer, she made a ice cold shot, and she actually made the longest shot of the year for all of us. It was 40 yards.
That's awesome.
She pinwheeled that deer, and I was so proud of her, and that just made my entire season right there. That was absolutely mission accomplished.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Just one thing: don't ever tick her off, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that is so awesome, man. That's and Mike and Ken, tonight during this show, you bring a unique perspective. So when we're talking about some of these advice things and things that you would have a question on, or something that bothered you or concerned you, you just toss it right in there, man, because that's how this works. All right?
You
betcha.
Okay.
Well, guys,
we're in elk camp.
Exactly. Guys, y'all know what time it is. Shout-outs. It's time for shout-outs. If you're new to the show, we usually put a few shout-outs to a few cities with the most listeners topping our charts this week. But Joe, what's going on with the shout-outs?
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of some changes. Oh, and I gotta throw out to Jason Schultz, man, for sending us in that clip right there, man, of him doing the shout-out through a grunt tube. Is that cool or what, man?
It's awesome.
So, y'all, shout-outs have been a big topic of discussion within ourselves. It's something we always think about. We always want to produce a show of value. We don't know, because we don't hear a lot from our listeners out there about our shout-outs, or whether or not they're getting that value from what we do with that. And we've said we do that so that we have a personal connection. That's been the whole reason that we do this. It's our way of thanking those people that listening and getting to learn something about each of these places, or just recognizing where they're at. And our concern is that, sometimes between us doing our thing and then doing our shout outs, it's about 30 minutes in, 20 minutes in, depending on the night, could be 15 minutes in before we get to our elk hunting content. And so, for us, we were like, well, should we make a change on that? And basically it came down to this, is that no, we shouldn't, because of the very reasons that we do it, because it's about us and you and all of our blue-collar grinders out there, and recognizing you and letting you know how much you guys mean to us. So if that takes a little bit of time to do that, well, doggone it. If you don't want to listen, just fast forward through it, or you can listen to the banter. You might learn something, and who knows, you might be on there at some time. One thing, though, so we are going to continue that. But one thing that we are going to do is, if you guys have already seen one set of our grinder shout-outs, we actually invited our grinders to send in a clip of themselves, giving us their name, their hometown, and giving us a little clip. Well, that's going to continue. Look, if you want to be part of our show, you have an opportunity of doing the same thing. You can record yourself just taking your phone, doing one of those selfies out there, and any place you want. You're going to give us your name, where you're from, and you can give us a little home of. You can give us a holler about something, and we'll put that on. We'll include that so as one of the top 5, so that we don't go too much deeper in the show. We'll see how the time part of it goes, and it gives us a chance to talk about you and your place and what you've just said. So the banter will continue, but we want to make sure that you guys are recognized. So we came this close to changing that, and I don't know, I woke up last night, said, no, I made an executive decision, y'all. It's gonna,
We riding with you, Joe.
it's going to stay the same. So during our show tonight, you're going to continue to see video shout outs from our grinders in the different groups that we have. And we're going to do one group now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to list and talk about the top 10 cities overall for this overall since we've started this, y'all. So here's our second group of grinders, guys.
Hey, what's up, ElkBros? It's John from Fort Collins, Colorado. Just wanted to wish you guys a happy 100th episode. You guys are crushing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And just like, thanks for everything, really. Yep. Peace.
My name is Sean Dawson. I'm from Independence, Wisconsin, and I've been grinding it out with the ElkBros since day one. I'd like to say thanks to Joe, Chav, Gilbert, Louise, and Manano for putting everything out there and letting us gobble it up. Merry Christmas.
Hey, all you fellow ElkBros out there, Alan McClanahan coming to you from a little hidden spot here in Arkansas, doing a early December vet youth duck hunt today. Keep grinding and looking forward to seeing you guys on the Elk Mountain this year.
This is Zach Cedar, tuning in from Corning, New York, the Crystal City, home of the world-renowned Corning Museum of Glass. Cheers to that.
How about all those cool locations, man?
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
That is just so awesome.
And then he tings the glass. Ting.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a
Mike.
I don't know if that's a margarita he's got going on for New Mexico
God
or what.
bless him.
I just got to say thank you to all those guys, sending those videos in, man. That's way cool. We appreciate you guys. It means a lot to us.
So cool. And for you guys, watching, listening, that's what we're hoping you do. We'd love to have you on, see your mug, let your kids see you, give us a chance to either say something nice about you or bust on you. Either way it goes. But we're excited to add that to our third season. Okay, so hopefully that happens. Now, list of the top 10 listening cities overall. Since we have started this, these are the top 10 listening cities. In 10th place, Portland, Oregon, man.
In the house.
Yeah. 9th, the 505 is in the house, still hanging tight. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah. 8th place, Seattle, Washington. And man, Washington has just been phenomenal. Home of a good friend of ours in this area, in this state. In 7th place was Minneapolis, Minnesota. 6th place, just up the road, about 2.5 hours, Colorado Springs, Colorado. What's up, Baker? In 5th place, Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City. In 4th place.
These guys are in the house all the time, Joe.
They were not even in the top 10. What was it? I don't know.
3-4 months ago.
2 months ago, yeah.
We're not in the top 10, and just really, I still, Lake Stevens, I want to know what's going on. Lake Stevens, Washington, man. Yeah. And oh, by the way, they're getting ready to overtake 3rd place. So, Chicago, Illinois, y'all got to get cranking, man.
The Windy City's in the house.
Yeah, Windy City's in the house, and Lake Stevens is on your rear end, man.
Wow.
Hey, and look, I don't want Manano and Luis to start saying that Joe's from the Windy City after,
oh my God.
Well, if they watched the Mafia episode, they go
more like the crappy city.
And in 2nd place, Big D, the other one up north here, Denver, Colorado.
That's Little D, Joe.
Well, in 1st place, where would this be then, Gilbert?
Go ahead. Straight up, Big D in the house, in the DFW from Dallas, Texas. Go ahead, Manano.
I don't know why he's celebrating. He doesn't even listen to the podcast.
From Dallas, Texas, the first city. Big shout out for my fellows Dallas, Texas.
The Dallasonians.
All right, grinder shout outs.
Elk Bros, it's Jim Coyle from Riverton, Wyoming. It's a pleasure and honor to be involved in your 100th episode. Congratulations, guys. Love your passion for elk hunting and keep grinding.
This is Roger Campbell from Sultan, Washington, home of the 1968 Sky River Rock Festival with the Grateful Dead, Muddy Waters, and even Richard Pryor, a year before the famous Woodstock. Congrats.
Zach Fisher here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to thank you guys for all that you're doing for us elk hunters and congratulate you on your 100th episode. God bless you guys.
I'm Chad Hashin, coming to you live from North Dakota, where it's so flat you can watch your dog run away for 2 weeks.
You're right about that. Heck yeah, boy. It's like Midland, Texas. Watch your dog run away for 3 days.
Yeah, old Zach went and jinxed, man, the Steelers, right, man?
Man, he did. He should have never piped that up. The Ravens took care of business, boy.
All right, guys, here we go. We're going to get to the meat. Tonight's show is one for the books. It's all about elk hunting advice and taken from some of the areas most asked about this year. So what we've done is we've taken kind of these areas to get advice. And instead of, you're not going to just hear advice from us. Y'all, we have asked for some friends to chime on in. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you know kind of what the area is, and we'll let one of our friends help us out a little bit, and then we'll chime in some, all right? So first of all, the area was, I had somebody that asked us this early on, and I thought it was so cool that I wrote this down. It was, if we could go back in time and give ourselves one piece of elk hunting advice, what would that be? So let's find out. And if you're going to ask anybody about elk hunting advice, let's start out first of all with the elk nut himself.
Hey, Joe and listeners. Hey, Elk Nut here. Glad to be a part of the podcast here, Joe. Hey, I was asked if I could take one piece of advice or information that I've learned over the last 40 plus years of elk hunting, what would it be? If I could take it to the very beginning, as a newer elk hunter, what is it that I would glean from that, from what I know now, and put it back in those early times? And you know, without a doubt, for myself and for my son, it was learning and understanding the elk's language. Not just learning. In other words, we're not talking about can you bugle or can you cow call. We're talking about understanding the different sounds that a bull or cow would make. We know that their sounds come from emotion. So when you can hear a different bugle from a bull given a different tone or a different emotion, it sends a different message. The same as if he was warning a bull, or if he was trying to call cows to him, or was he trying to call cows from another bull. Different sounds, different emotion, different tones for those. Same with a cow. If we have cows that are trying to regather cows that are getting too far away, or she's trying to call a bull to him, instead of him trying to call her, she's trying to bring him over. They have a different tone or different cadence to their sound. And these are the things that we tried to started to sink our teeth into. And that was the game changer in our life. We started calling in bull after bull after bull and cows or any elk we wanted. Whereas today, probably calling close to 85-90% of the elk that we target. This was the game changer. I wish I would have known that when I first started elk hunting. And to understand, there's a lot more to hunting elk than making elk sounds. It's communicating with them. And guys like Joe through ElkBros and through the Elk Nut mobile app who are willing to share years and years of hunting and instruction and the sounds and their techniques and tactics once elk are found. Guys, this is just crazy unreal. You need to take advantage of these sources because these are guys that are successful year after year on do-it-yourself, over-the-counter hunts. Not some special hunts, but over-the-counter and show yearly success. So I hope this helps you guys out there, and I appreciate the invite, and everybody stay safe.
Yeah, Paul's awesome, huh?
Very cool.
Yeah. And you know, Mike, I think you relate a lot to what he just said, because what we were talking about before is pretty much what you were doing on your hunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, it was, I've had the opportunity to listen to elk a lot, like even this year, and other years, and listen, and I've gone through the elk nut and elk 101, and my first, one of the things that are big to me is knowledge, right?
Yeah.
I think the first one I did was Chris Rowe, right? Yeah, he was the first. When I first started, he was like the only guy out there, one of the only guys out there. But really, one thing I learned was the language. It was like I'm trying to create this scenario of, you know, of in that situation. What do I need to do in that situation, right? And in that particular one this year, it was basically, I felt the best thing to do there was, because they weren't talking, they weren't screaming, and it wasn't any of that, but we had a pretty good idea there was elk there. And so I figured the best way to do it would be to make them curious.
Yep.
And
Yeah, and you know,
sometimes less is more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we talk about this all the time, as far as, you know, we've talked about understanding the language, the why of you know, why are you calling? You know, the why of certain elk calls that you're putting out there, the why of them responding to you, and understanding that so that you can apply it. Now, I will tell people there are absolutely ways that you can simplify that. In other words, you know, it's just like in our own language. Now, the more you know, the more artistic you get to be with it, the more you get to dissect it, the more you get to, instead of being able to bring in, you know, that 3 out of 10 bulls or that 4 out of 10 bulls, you start getting a little deeper. You start dissecting and pulling in those 7, those 8, and 9 out of 10 bulls, you know, just because you've got that artistry. But, you know, I think you can simplify it early on, and there's different ways that you can simplify it. But, you know, I talk all the time about, you know, it's kind of like there's certain things that you can hear somebody say that you know that those are fighting words.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you can hear in noises that you know that those are loving noises, right? And you can actually develop your different situations of loving noises, of fighting stuff, of irritating, of being aggressive. You can develop a little niche and then build on that. And one thing that I talked about is, and me and, you know, Paul has talked about this, and you know, Chris has talked about this, is sometimes you shouldn't just be making calls if you don't know what you're saying. However, so many people out there are not sure yet, that are working on that skill set. And I kind of compare it to Manano and Luis. You know, I was talking one time, and Luis, you were talking about some songs that you knew. Mm. And I bet this happens to you as well, Manano. There's certain songs that you can sing that you don't know what the words mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I was giving you the example that when I was a kid in Venezuela, I would sing songs in English and just kind of pronouncing what I could hear, but not understanding what I was saying.
I'm still doing that.
When that's what he said. And so when I got here to the States and started kind of learning a bit more, it's like, oh, that's what that song said. You know, it's just like that's
gives it a whole new
trigger that conversation. Yes, sir.
But in that exact sense, that's exactly what I mean by this. You even, like, you could have somebody say hello to you, even if you didn't know, and you said hello, it was the right response, right? Because you just mimicked what they did, you know. Now, if somebody comes and says, I'm going to kick your butt, and you can say, I'm going to kick your butt, well, it was probably the right aggressive response, right? Yeah. So, but the limit of your depth of the conversation is limited. You're only going to be able to go so far before you're not comfortable and you want to back out. And that's exactly what Paul's talking about there. Right. You know, being able to have those keys. And you're right, Mike, man. Chris, the master, man. I mean, he's got hours and hours.
Yeah. I've taken part of it was out of your playbook, you know, be a lover before a fighter.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how I always start it, you know. And if that's how they want to play, well, then we're going to play that game. If they want to change it to something else, I think is going to work. Then, you know, and I mean, I'm not that experienced, and I don't always know exactly what I'm doing, you know, but I've tried to learn and listen enough to all the resources out there to, how about this trick, right?
Yep.
And you know, so far it's worked really well.
Looks like it. Well done.
Well done, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, guys, what about any of you guys, if you could go back and give yourself some advice?
I was going to, if I may jump in real quick, Joe, because my answer was pretty similar. I wrote down learn animal behavior. So it pretty much encompasses the language, right? But it's just, you know, you gotta understand and know the behavior of the animal you're hunting. So in case of elk hunting, just do the homework to understand what they do, where they eat, their patterns, you know, how they breed, their times of the day, their times of the year, and obviously their language as part of it. So.
Yeah, good. Absolutely. I mean,
well, I can tell you for me, Joe, 100%. Mr. Sutton said it just a few minutes ago, round is a shape. But when you do this stuff, boys, y'all better have your butts in shape, because this, when you're hunting at these altitudes and everything, us flatlanders from whether it be Maryland or Texas or Louisiana, we're just not ready for the altitude. It's really hard to mimic the training. The ground is never flat. It's very unforgiving. The physical aspect of this game, or, you know, this sport that we like to participate in, it's amazingly challenging, not just on your physical ability, but your mental capacity, because your physical capacity will give out on you. And then when that happens, you're ready to pack it in, because your mind's a lot stronger than your body. But at the end of the day, man, your body's got to be well equipped to do this. No doubt we need to speak the language and everything, but man, you got to get your body and your mind ready for what you're fixing to endure.
Yeah, looking back at it, it was definitely limiting for my hunt.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, my first elk hunt, Carl Gammons tried to drag me up and down a mountain, and it was not working for him, right? Because he was, 5'9", about 180, 175 pounds himself, and he was like, "Man, dude, I need a dadgum go-kart to take this cat around with me." I mean, I was 335 pounds. I mean, I had no business up at 10,000 feet. I mean, dude, I'm serious. It was uphill both ways, coming and going, And and back then, he just walked out of camp. Man, I didn't make it to the corral, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? Like, I didn't even make it to the corral, and I'm about to faint, man. So I'm thinking, how am I ever going to get a bow pulled back? And then Joe challenged me. Fellas, I got to be challenged. Joe's one of the best elk coaches in the country, and he challenged me. Kind of aggravated me, but he challenged me, right? And I said, I want to hunt with Joe. Joe could, Joe's aggressive. I'm aggressive by nature, but you got to get your P's and Q's in order. And Joe let me know real quick, hey, boy, you're too fat to do what we do. And and I'm just going to tell you straight up, if you don't change your life, you're not going to be here to enjoy it with your kids and everything else. And look, it's a battle that I fight, every year. I can look at a piece of pie and I might as well just rub it on my butt, because that's where it's going to be, right? Because at the end of the day, man, we're foodies around here in Texas. Being down here in Texas, there's good food. My wife loves to cook. It's the holidays. I'm going to pack on my holiday 20, and I'm going to be working my tail end off. I'm healed up. I'm ready to go. So,
Yeah, just make sure that you don't get to that point where it breaks you down again. That's the only
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
But I think being in physical and mental condition and understanding what you're fixing to endure is super important.
Very true, bro.
Your mental conditioning will pay dividends in your physical conditioning, because that's a big part of it. If you can fight off those demons mentally, there's a lot you can do with your body in this situation.
And vice versa too.
Yeah,
I mean, exercising will also help with your health, mental health.
Yeah, build some confidence up there, absolutely, because you start doing things you couldn't. And you know, I've told people, look, you know, do you have to be in the best shape of your life to go and kill elk? No, you don't. But your opportunities are going to be proportionate a lot of times to your ability to move up and down those hills, man. I mean,
yeah, buddy.
It's just there's times when it's time to close, and if you don't close, it's over. They're gone.
It's just physically demanding, and not only before the shot, but I mean after the kill.
Just getting out of your daggum tent in the morning, man. You know.
Oh yeah, the trip down the hill was a haul. You know, I was going down 1,000 feet, and I'm thinking, oh boy, you know, here I go. So it's tough. I did take a mule deer on the trip, and
man,
yeah. So that was a plus. But anyway, in order to get that mule deer, I had to go down quite a bit. A pretty big hill and back up another hill. When I got up there, I was shot, you know, and I was using a rifle, so I was just happy I hit it at that point, you know.
Praise Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Hey, so Chav, what would have young Leroy told the sensei? I mean, what would the sensei
the other
tell?
way?
Yeah. Going back the other way, what would the sensei have told the young Leroy? Huh?
Well, there's just a lot of little things, you know. Of course, wind and thermals are really important, but even going back on the how to recognize a cow call early, because there's a bird out there that sounds just like a cow.
Yes, there is.
And also, don't discount a terrible sounding bugle, because there's so many times we were fooled by bulls that you know, it's like, God, that guy. He had to throw his bugle away and go buy another one because he sounds terrible. And it always turned out to be an elk or a bull elk. So, you know, don't discount bad sounding bugles when you're trying to locate an elk.
Yeah.
And one more thing out there that I just have to throw out, because I know it cost me probably at least 4 bulls, nice bulls in my lifetime, and that's the equipment. You know, double check your equipment. You know, I can recall drawing back 3 times in a row with a knot coming off, and the bull didn't see it either one of the 3 times, up to the point where I could have stabbed him with an arrow and just scared the heck out of him. But the knot just kept coming off, and you know.
Yeah, Manano had that exact same thing, didn't you, Manano? Right before you killed your bull this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I may, Joe, if I were that guy that asked that question, if that guy have reception, I'm gonna say call Joe Giglio. he's gonna give you the same. I mean, the perfect answer you're looking for.
Even better, sign up to the ElkBros Academy.
But Chav just mentioned it. Chav just mentioned something really important, that in today's hunt, it's really helpful for us. I mean, equipment.
Yeah.
And when he said equipment, I mean, of course, your equipment, your bow, arrows, and stuff. But if you go with the electronic device, like Onyx or Base Map or those kind of tools, I mean, even if you are a well-trained, I don't know, sorry guys, sorry for my language limitation. I'm going too fast, translating Spanish to English.
You good, brother? Rock on, baby.
Even if you are, if you're in shape, in good shape, you must have tools. You must know how to manipulate and how to learn the terrain. That's really important, I think. That's my advice, and always go an extra mile. That's gonna create opportunities.
Yeah, no, that's super, man. And
never stop walking if you always go an extra mile, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, if you go with Joe, you just turn it around.
You go in circles.
You'll come back. You'll come back around.
This is a perfect segue into what Trevon, his advice is, and I'm going to give him a chance to tell that. But so many people hear us talking about putting on miles, and a lot of times rifle hunters hear us doing that about putting on miles, and Trevon has a whole different approach as far as that, and we'll let you see his advice right here.
Hey, I'm Trevon Stoltzfus with Outback Outdoors. I want to congratulate the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast on their 100th episode, or podcast, if you will. And my number one elk hunting tips is use your glass, not your boots, to find elk. God bless. See you down the trail.
Work smart, not hard, boys.
And,
Love it, Trevor.
And to what he's talking about, especially, man, when you're rifle hunting, being able to locate them and to figure out what they're doing, where they're going and bedding down, making an approach, and working out how you're going to take that animal is so huge, especially in those later hunts. Because remember, finding elk is half the battle, right? In order to get it, you got to find it. And the only problem is for us, and depends on your situation where you are. There's some people that, during the archery season, when it's thick and it's green and those animals are it's hard to find an area to glass. And yet, if we get an opportunity to, we cover area with glass, if we get a chance to look down into some canyons and stuff. So you're right. I just want to make sure that people hear, that working smart instead of hard sometimes is a huge key. And I know Trevon spends hours behind some glass. He sent me just a picture the other day of a bull he had in his spotting scope that he was waiting all day to make a move on, man, and then he'd make his move on it and then capitalize on it on a late rifle hunt. So that's a real good point, right?
No doubt.
So next area, people say, well, I keep hearing about what I should do. What advice would you give me of things not to do while elk hunting? Well, we're going to go to our good friend over at the Western Huntsman podcast to get an answer on that.
Hey guys, Jim Huntsman over at the Western Huntsman podcast. First of all, a huge congratulations to you guys over at Blue Collar Elk Hunting. What a milestone, 100 episodes of great content, and I eat every one of them up. I appreciate what you guys do. Just a serious congratulations. As for my advice as to what hunters shouldn't do, I have two things. The first one being is take advantage of the resources like Blue Collar Elk Hunting. Take advantage, soak that stuff up, become the best student you have ever been. Know those elk, know your strategies, know the game. Soak it up. It's right there at your fingertips. My second piece of advice is to never give up. If it's hunting season and you have yet to notch a tag, get your butt off the couch, get on that mountain, and make it happen. Guys, keep grinding. Blue Collar Elk Hunting. I love your show. Keep it up. I don't know what I'd do without it. Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Straight up, Jim. Way to represent.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is the thing not to do while elk hunting? Anybody?
One of the things I wrote down is like, look, you cannot go elk hunting unprepared.
Yeah.
And to me that,
And if you want to know how to get prepared, call Luis. He's got that Luis at ElkBros.com. Y'all send him. He'll send you a big list.
I'm still figuring it out, man. I ain't prepared most of the time, but that's what I was going to say. I mean, over a few years, I've realized that there's always something that I realize, like, man, this is an aspect of the hunt that I'm missing that I need, to prepare more for. This is an aspect that I need to prepare more for. So, I mean, it's complex. There are a lot of things that you have to, where you have to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And so if, for your hunt, for the animal and for others at camp, you owe it to everybody to just be prepared.
So prepared in gear, prepared in conditioning,
everything, everything. Yes, sir.
And I think one of the biggest things for me to not do is when you start hunting these critters is to understand or underestimate their ability to survive and to use their senses to survive. Their nose is unbelievable. And I'll harken back to Mr. Bozarth's hunt. He knew beyond a shadow of a doubt the wind was wrong. He would have never got an opportunity to went in there and blew that bull out of there, and he would have never even known he was there. You have got to understand thermals and wind direction when you're making a play on an animal, right? And it is so important to understand that if you won't even see elk if you don't use the wind right. And I think you got to know, the little snuffer. I mean, there's now apps on our apps that tell us the wind direction in an area that we're in, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of tools that we can use in understanding thermals as they work. And we've had many podcasts on that. Joe can tell you, but what not to do is chase a bull into a situation that is not going to be in a good wind, or any elk for that matter, right?
Yeah, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment, right? Well, Brendan, you've been now with us 2 years, and I imagine some of that, there's been a lot of those lessons of things, this is something I shouldn't do, right? Can you give us one of those?
Well, this year, painfully, I learned what not to do when a bull elk is coming in. Is even if you think it's out of range and not going to come into range, make sure that you put your rangefinder in your pocket so you're not holding it in the hand that has your release in it. because that bull actually can make a right, take 3 steps, and all of a sudden,
he's in the kill zone.
Yeah. 80, yeah. So, and that happened to me, and he, made a right, took 3 or 4 steps. Next thing you know, he's staring at me at about 48 yards, and I'm holding my rangefinder with my bow up like, uh-oh. And he never took his eyes off me, and I couldn't get the shot. Gilbert was in that set with me, and, unfortunately, he tried to get a shot, pulled back, and ended up having his peep twisted. So we had multiple calamities on a bull that Joe called.
That should have been slam dunk.
Yeah, that should have been dead twice.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it walked away. So
yeah, and I think Brendan said, like Brendan said, just the ability to draw his bow too. I mean, when that animal's coming in, he's learned a lot. When he's breaking the barrier at 60 and he's keep coming, you got to draw. And I mean, we'll never be able to release an arrow if we don't draw.
Absolutely, man. And I think if I was to tell somebody what not to do, it would be, do not be a one-trick pony. Don't put all your eggs in one basket in a lot of ways. In other words, with the area that you hunt, don't pound an area to death if you're not finding elk in there. If you're not finding sign, you're not smelling, you're not having any type of encounters, don't keep trying to cram that square peg in a round hole. Get your butt up, move, and go someplace else, because they ain't there yet, right? And same thing with your style of hunting, man. I mean, so many people and so many have learned by watching YouTube and everything, man. It's just to go and scream out, challenge bugle after challenge bugle, a location to a challenge bugle, get one to answer and challenge that animal. And yeah, every now and then you get that bull, especially in the right time of year, in the right situation, that is going to want to play and come into that. But what if you're in areas where they are not in that mode, or they are not in that time, or they're just not feeling that at that time? You're out of luck now, because you do not have alternative strategies or methods or willing to change. And I've heard people say, hey, I'm just going to go until I either get one or I don't, right? Well, that means either you get one or you don't, right? I would rather turn that from a 50-50 chance, which, when we're talking 10% of hunters out there that kill elk every year, then it's not a 50-50 deal, man. It's a 10-90 right now. And so I would like to change those odds more to where it's a 50-50, or it's a 60-40, or it's a 70-30, man. And you take a look at our seasons, and over the years, shoot, we're in the 80 percentile right now, man. We're batting heavy hitting right now.
100% opportunities.
Yeah. And just, but at the same time, I thought about that, Gilbert, man. I was kind of taking a look at, because I always preach about getting a lot of opportunities if you want to be able to get an animal, but I keep looking at how many opportunities we actually did have. Most of ours, and that's what I'm so proud about this group.
No doubt, yeah. Take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah. Man, we closed the deal. We got an opportunity and we made it happen. So I think that was critical. But that would be the thing is do not get stubborn. Don't and a lot of times it's because we don't have those skill sets to make those other decisions. So work on those, and find. I've always been one of those coaches that I don't go, we're a man-to-man team, and we're going to go beat another team just because we're man-to-man. I take a look at the other team's weaknesses. What are they going to give you? What is it that, what is the chink in their armor at that time? And, man, I mean, if it's that, like Mike, if it's, hey, they're coming to the water hole and I can put up a blind here, dude.
Yeah, bud.
Heck,
Slam
dunk. Yeah. Well, why would you go? Nope, I'm not doing it. Now look,
I'm gonna go hike 8 miles.
It's not as sexy, maybe, Raven. That's
I don't give a dang, man.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's better than sexy? Eating.
That's right. I
resemble that remark.
Yeah, that's right. I got a lot of crap on my personal Facebook page from a guy who. Because I shot an elk out of a blind, and he's like, well, you're supposed to call him in, and you're supposed to have the bulls screaming, and I said, well, you know what? My freezer is my trophy room.
Yeah, man. That's right. I mean, baby. You do you, partner. Good luck. Good luck to you.
I think one of the things that I have for this is we all should know, right? But don't put your bow down. If you don't ever think that the elk are not going to be right there at any time.
You better be ready.
I learned this the hard way because I waited 6 years for an elk tag in Nevada. Wow. I'm sitting there and, we're glassing up. Nevada's a whole different game, right, than Idaho. You can glass. It's early. It's in August. You're glassing bulls and then trying to figure out their patterns and all that stuff and then try to ambush them. And I had this spot, and then I'd been up the ridge a little farther the day before, and the bulls had passed below me. So I moved down the ridge, and I was sitting there, and it got to be about 9 o'clock, and I was sitting in this spot, and I had the wind, I had everything, and I said, well, they're not going to come. So I left my bow sitting there, and I just moved about 3 feet over to glass up the other ridge, and I heard a crunch, and I had a bull looking at me over the top of the bushes about 10 yards at me. And he walked by me. My bow is at my feet, and I'm busted. Right, I'm not. He doesn't know what I am, but I'm pinned.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And right then there, I'm thinking I am the dumbest hunter in the world. I waited 6 years for this tag, because he actually let me. He come down. And he actually let me pick up my bow.
Oh man!
And I was smart enough to have an arrow nocked. He let me pick up my bow and hook up my release. He walked down the hill. His buddy came in behind him, and he let me turn. And I learned from listening to Joe is I probably should have just drawn on him. He let me do all that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So I waited for him to walk down the hill, and when he turned his head, I tried to draw him, and he busted on him, and he busted me. But the whole thing is, if I'd have had my bow in my hand when I should have, then that 330 bull would have been, coming home with me. But
yeah, that's so true, and we've all been there.
Learned.
And I was going to say, man, when you said do not, and you were absolutely right. Don't put your bow down. Man, I don't know how many times calling, you get that call out there in the woods, you got to go out there and, and have an animal come in when you least expect it.
Me and Brendan last year, the year before last, we're tracking a bear, and we were tired, and so we had stopped at a place, and we kind of left all the stuff, and then, Manano stayed back with our packs and everything, and then we started kind of following the trail a little bit. And Brendan is like, should we go back and get our bows? I was like, nah, I'm just, kind of looking a little here further, and we'll go back here in a minute. Sure enough, we made 3 more steps, and here comes a herd of elk, and we have a cow standing right in front of me. I don't know, Brendan, how many, 10 yards, 12 yards in front of me? And completely broadside. And I have nothing but my rangefinder in my hand.
I believe Manano told you to take your bow.
Oh, Brendan did.
Oh, Brendan did.
Three times.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, though, when Mike said he had his bow at his feet, I was going to say, do not pick it up.
Gotta get it.
Yeah.
Gotta try.
Pick it up.
Gotta draw.
And I mean,
gotta draw.
If you don't, I mean, it's still again, we talk about those odds. You stand there with that bow at your feet, that animal's going to walk off. There's no opportunity. You go to pick it up. Well, now you have odds. Now either that animal's going to give you a shot or he's not, but you have an opportunity.
Yeah, I had the big Canadian with me this weekend in a blind in the stand, and he went to draw his bow, and he hadn't drawn it from sitting down in a long time, Joe. So he gets it to about right here, and he's like, "Oh my God!" He goes like as soon as he goes up to draw. I mean, it scattered the deer. Turn around, he looks at me. I said, "You can let down now." Let's down, Joe, and I said, "Listen, man, when you drag it back, just keep on going, man. Don't stop." He goes, "Man, I wasn't trying to stop. I just couldn't get it back." And I said, "Well, it don't matter, man. Go ahead and finish it. If the deer's standing there, we'll make a play on her." Second time they came in, he went ahead and finished it. They all busted except for one of them, right? And she turned just like she needed to. But he would, he didn't finish that draw, so he would have never got that opportunity. So you got to finish, man. You got to draw.
That's one of those big regrets I had, is not drawing. I mean, I had, because it's amazing what you can get away with.
Absolutely.
And because this year with my son's bull, that bull came in, he was looking at me down, where I was down in the brush calling, and when my son saw him and turned his head, he picked him off. But he let my son raise his bow and draw, and he killed him. It's just amazing what you can get away with.
Think about what that elk is thinking about. I mean, they're hearing another bull, they're hearing another elk, right? And they see a movement. So it makes total sense. They're going to where there's elk at, so a movement is not strange to them. So I mean, you have your bow up and you have that bull in front of you looking at you. Scream a bugle and pull.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the diaphragm in your mouth, you just scream a bugle, draw back, and pump. You let it go, man, because even if they booger, because if they think it's another bull in too much proximity, I'm telling you so many times, they'll booger just a little bit, and they're going to stop, and they're going to turn. Elk have a deadly fault, man, and they will stop and turn broadside to be able to see what just spooked them. So
2 years ago, Joe and I had a bull standoff with us. What was it, 13 minutes, Joe? He's staring at us, 12 minutes, something like he's just staring us down. And, I mean, he's got us pegged. He's 35 yards. He done got in the kill zone, and he's got us pegged. I mean, and I got one little aspen tree in front of him, and we're standing there, cool hand Luke. I'm about ready to hyperventilate because he is staring a hole through us.
Did you have the ElkBros camo?
I did, man. I had the Valkyrie. No, I didn't. At that time, it was a different camo. But I knew that once the bull was going to make a move, Joe's classic at this. As soon as the bull makes a move and I go to draw, he's going to scream a bugle. Same thing happened. Bull goes to turn. When he turns, Joe sees he covers the kill with the aspen tree. I got to draw and step out behind that aspen, and Joe screams a hard bugle at him, and he just looks at us like, "Well, okay, fellas, I hear you, but where y'all at?" And it never boogered or nothing. And man, it was que sera, sera when the little red dot hit where it needed to go. It was done, But again, if I don't draw in that scenario, we never get that done. And Joe doesn't cover, and you can cover yourself. You can cover it with a cow call, you know, or scream whatever you want to, as long as you got that diaphragm in your mouth. So, yeah, I guess another thing, Joe, that what not to do, man, do not draw. Draw your bow.
Draw your bow.
That's right.
Got to draw. You're not going to kill nothing if you don't draw. Absolutely. Let's hear from some grinders.
Absolutely.
This is James Rivera from Tucumcari, New Mexico, home of the Tucumcari Rattlers. Just want to give a shout out to the ElkBros on their 100th episode. Congratulations. Great job kicking butt. You guys have a good holiday season. We'll talk soon.
Brian Havis from Henderson, Nevada.
Hey there, Debbie Parker, Washington, D.C., home of one of the ElkBros' biggest fans.
Hey, this is Star Olson here, coming at you from Dietrich, Idaho, home of the Blue Devils.
This is Jason Schultz from Salem, Connecticut. Congratulations, Elk Brothers, to 100 episodes, and here's to the next 100. Keep it up, boys. Thanks a lot.
What's up, Elk Bros? Darren Gresham from Millsap, Texas.
Go ahead.
Here trying to get these bulls called up.
Oh yeah.
Well, and what you know, I know you guys don't see it because you're not seeing the video right now. He is amongst about 12 of his moo cow bulls.
Joe, will they see it on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So he turns and he screams at those moo cows, man. He said, "I'm trying to get these bulls called up." It was
Silent bugle too, baby.
Man. It was, and didn't it sound good, huh?
Sound real good.
Oh my gosh,
Heck
man.
yeah.
So next up on our question, okay, is, and I think this is huge because I think there's so many guys out there, and Luis, you talk about this all the time. Manano talks about this. You know, Manano is like, Joe, we gotta be quiet, you know, because they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to move. They, you know, we've been conditioned so much, you know, to not do things to mess things up, right? So, what advice would we give to hunters worried about making a mistake while hunting? Well, let's see what Trent Fisher has to say.
Hey guys, Trent with Born and Raised Outdoors here. If there is a mistake to be made elk hunting, I guarantee you I've made them all. So anyway, couple things that you can always be sure of. Always play the wind correctly. And the elk have better noses than us, let me tell you that. And number two, I don't know. I've been thinking about this, is have fun. Go out there and have fun. Go out there and prepare to learn something every single time out. So thank you guys so much.
And that's the key. There is no such thing as messing up. There isn't. I mean, it's a learning moment, right?
Yep. To me, is to stop worrying about making mistakes and just simply prepare more. This ties to the previous one. You know, you're going to make mistakes no matter what. But what's important is, are you learning from those mistakes and making your corrections and preparing so you don't make them again? But you're going to make them anyway, so might as well just enjoy the ride and learn the lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going to happen?
What's the worst?
Yeah.
You do nothing, you get nothing.
Absolutely, man. And that's why we talk about being aggressive. I am an aggressive hunter. Yes, I blow up some opportunities, but because of my aggressiveness, I create more opportunities than I blow up. And I have a blast doing it.
Oh, man, yeah.
So,
yeah, if you guys get to see the first episode of the Mafia, man, you'll see Joe and I the first 2 days kind of doing what we do first couple of days, trying to find some elk and everything. We had an absolute blast together. We worked extremely hard, but man, it was so fun and so fulfilling. We got to do some things we don't normally get to do, which is shoot some really cool video and stuff. And so, yeah, you guys have fun, man. Have fun.
People are going to look at that, Gilbert, and they're going to go, God, how, you know, is that how you're supposed to use a decoy? Shouldn't you? Like, because what people don't understand a lot of times, if you don't really know the backstory, is we are walking and we have bulls bust us. And I'm like, well, shoot, let's try this. And I pull out the decoy, and I'm just standing behind the decoy. So, you know, that's what you said, Chav, right? You know, you're talking about the decoy, same situation. You know, it seemed like it was over, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, there's a body sticking out of the decoy like this, a human body. The decoy's just ahead. Yeah. And then there's Gilbert on one side, and I'm on the other side, completely exposed. But they're looking at that decoy the whole time.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
Gilbert and I are there, and these bulls, by all rights, should have just flown the coop, man. It's been out. And I pull up that decoy, and I just start throwing out some obnoxious cow calls, man. And next thing you know, guess what? They're turning and coming. So we had a bull that should have been out there that actually came within 45 yards of shooting range. And, so we were basically just having fun.
We were, man. It was a blast.
Yeah.
And again, he's going, yeah, you got the shot? I'm like, bro, I'm filming. You got the shot. It's like, I've been holding this decoy, like Brendan said, I've been holding this decoy for 30 minutes. I can't even pull my bow back, So it was great video, though, man.
So I got a question now that we're talking about this. Along that line of not making a mistake and getting aggressive, I was rifle hunting, and when I seen these elk, I the whole way down the mountain that night, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to set up on these elk the next day. So I kind of hung back because I was a little concerned I was going to blow them out. Should have I been more aggressive with these elk? And
your rifle hunting, bud, changes the mode, okay? Because now I think your amount of aggressiveness has to be according to your mode. In other words, if you have to be close up on an animal, if you got to be 40 yards on an animal, you're going to have to be way more aggressive in making that move than if you're going to be 200, 300 yards on an animal. Because you're right. I mean, why would I blow them out of an area when I can shadow them and find out where they're going to be at a certain time and then make a move on them? So aggressive in
if he means aggressive as in trying to do something different to create an opportunity for your rifle shot, then the answer is absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I kind of
Did
knew
you
where
have
they were
bulls in
bedding.
the group, Ken?
I did not see any bulls. I seen 5 cows, but they were bedding in some heavy timber below the fields that I seen them in. So in the evening, they came up out of the heavy timber into the fields.
Did you hear any bulls?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So my thought process was possibly midday I was going to try and creep through that heavy timber and see if I could
Catch him bedded?
but I kind of hung back and didn't.
And that's a tough one, because when you're hunting public land, especially rifle hunting, there's a chance that because really all you got to do is wait for them where they went in, because most of the time animals are going to come out pretty close to where they went in. They're just going to kind of do that routine of feed to bed. But when you're on public land, a lot of times that can get bumped and disrupted. So you have to ask yourself. I would have put myself, knowing where they bedded, I'd have put myself at if possible, because I don't know the terrain, but I put myself at a high point with my glasses looking for them moving through either a transition area, if again the terrain applies to that, or when they were coming out to a particular area. Now, if that's not happening because of the thickness and I know that I have a bull in the area, do I try to then move in an upwind side, in the downwind side of that and make something happen? I probably would, but I wouldn't push it as hard as I have to with a bow, because all I got to do is now be able to see that animal within rifle range. So it's.
Ken, did you have just a bull tag? Is that correct?
Yes, I just had a bull tag, and that's kind of what I did. I set myself up about 300 yards from where they were coming out. I tried to get the wind in my favor, and that's how I set up on them.
Yeah, that's actually a very good move right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Couldn't have done anything different.
Yeah.
It'd been different if you'd have saw a bull, but all you had was some cows. So you just kind of, like Joe said, we're going to mirror them, see what shows up with them.
And the only
what time of year was it?
This was second season rifle. So October 24th, end of October. Yeah.
And so the thing I would tell you there is, if my only point was, if you saw and you thought there was only cows and all you had was a bull tag, I wouldn't have spent my time with them. I'd have moved on.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had no sign of the bulls in the area, man, they're somewhere.
That time of year.
And it could have been in that big timber too, bedded down.
Okay.
So next question up. If you had to boil it down to the one thing that would improve someone's success in the elk woods, their biggest asset, what would it be? Well, y'all, we're going to go to 2 guys that are great at putting elk on the ground, and we're going to find out what they have to say.
Oh, hey there. Dirk Durham here, and if there was one thing I'd have to say that would increase your success in the elk woods, I think I would have to say being a better elk caller. No, you don't have to sound like a world champion to call in elk, but you do have to sound like an elk. And I think a big mistake people make is waiting to the last minute, waiting till August to buy their elk calls and to practice with them. Now is the time, right now, in the middle of winter. You just got to start practicing, and it doesn't mean you have to practice hours every day. If you practice 5-10 minutes a day, you'll be a better caller. You got to develop that muscle memory with your calls and your tongue, and to figure out how to do it, how everything works together in harmony with your brain, your internal diaphragm, and your diaphragm. You don't want to sound like Joe and the boys at ElkBros. No, you want to sound good like an So start practicing now.
Awesome.
On the commute to work, in the closet, out in the garage, so you don't make the missus mad. And you'll thank me in September. Good luck, guys.
Hey everybody, Michael Batease from the Elk Calling Academy. To me, your biggest asset as an elk hunter, it would be the ability to recognize the mindset of the bull that you're working, to understand what his hot buttons are and recognize how he's responding to your calling. If you can recognize and understand that, then you know what to say back in your calling sequence, and that's just going to lead to a lot more opportunities of success for you. To everybody over at the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast, congratulations on your 100th episode. We all know that the influence and the fear of the Venezuelan mafia is what has allowed you guys to reach this milestone. Congrats.
That's right. Michael, you do not know what you're doing, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The fire, man.
Wisdom, pure wisdom right there, Michael.
Throwing gas on the fire. Hey guys, if I could tell you the one thing that makes the biggest difference in our success as a group is the ability to call elk. Yeah. Flat out, period. I mean, you can know elk, you can know elk behaviors, you can know where elk are in an area, you can know where their favorite wallows are, you know, like Mike, where their favorite food areas are. But in September, early August, beginning of October to the middle of October, you can know all those things about elk. But that means now you still have to utilize what they are doing to create an opportunity. And wait, let me rephrase that. You have to do what they are doing to have an opportunity. By being able to call elk, you create the opportunities. So you're not waiting on their move. You're not waiting on their time. You're not waiting on their location, at their water hole, at their feed area, at their bed. You can create opportunities and bring them to you. So that's huge. So up next, we got some grinders here. Let's listen to what they have to say.
I'm Paul Brucey from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I'd like to say semper paratus to all of you. The ghosties here. Thanks again. We love what you do.
I'm Shane Rasmussen from Garden City, Utah, with my dad Dennis, my son Corey, my son Ryder, and my brother Clint. We're up here elk hunting.
And we're having a ball.
This is Ian from Helena, Montana. Congratulations on your 100th episode. Keep up the good work, boys.
Dylan Ferrer from Swansea, Mass. Just giving you guys a shout out for the 100th episode. Huge feat. Couldn't do anything I do without you guys, keeping me motivated and keeping me grinding. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
This is Dennis Janicki calling in from Butte, Montana. Big shout out to the ElkBros, Joe Gillia, Gilbert Ornelas, Chav, and the rest of the Venezuelan mafia. You guys keep up the good work. Again, a big shout out from Butte, Montana.
Big sky country in the house.
And known as the richest hill on earth.
Dude, that was awesome, man. Butte, Montana in the house.
Butte, Montana. It's funny how you hear those different dialects all the way across the United States. So cool, man. All right, so here we're going to talk about hunting with an elk partner. What would be one tip or strategy that you would have for anyone hunting elk with a partner. And let's go to, these guys are partners all the way, man. I mean, these guys have gotten in more trouble together than what they know to do with. So let's go to the Not a Grande boys and see what they have to say.
Rodney Wood.
Kyle Jackson.
We're Not Grande Outdoors.
And you're listening to the 100th episode of the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast.
He really wanted to say blue collar comedy.
Blue collar comedy is what I was going to say. When hunting elk with a partner.
Always choose who's going to shoot first.
Always. Joey G, boys, congratulations.
Try and catch up with us.
You're right.
Adios.
Adios.
That's cool. If you're hunting with Joe, you better not be last, because I'm telling you, he'll be first. Look, I mean, I've been with Joe when both of us got the same bull coming, and we're in the middle of the set, and we're having an argument on who's up. He's like, oh, no, you're up. I'm like, listen, man, if the bull goes left, you kill him. If he goes right, I'll kill him. He's like, no, man, you just go ahead. I said, shut up, Joe. Kill the bull if he goes left. Sure enough, bull goes left. Joe ventilates him, man. So, but listen, hey, we were in them. I mean, we were in them so thick, fellas, that we were walking through the herd before we ever knew what was going on. We're in the middle of the elk herd, and I look up and I tell Joe, I'm like, Joe, I think I see elk right up there in front of us. And he's, get my binoculars out of my bag. So I get his binoculars out, and he looks up like this right here. He said, yeah, it is. I mean, we were deep in them, man. And and it was on, man. Here come the party. I mean, he kills the bull, and then 15, 20 minutes later, man, we get another one down below us. We dive off in there, and we doubled up that morning. I mean, you just got to, work it out between you and figure out what's going to be the best to get an elk on the ground. So,
yeah, that's number one. And that's one thing we've said is the whole object is, for that animal, for one of us to score. As a team, we all win together, man. It's teamwork that makes the dream work, right? So,
yes, sir.
One thing that I tell people, especially when you're elk hunting with a partner, is when you're calling. If you are in a partner setup and you have shooter caller, that the person who's the shooter understand you are the shooter. You are not the caller. That's the job of the caller, to bring that animal by you, because now we have a situation where the elk does not know where you're at. So that you have everything in your favor. Now it's your home court, because that person is back there, and you're not going to end up with a hung bull. The moment that you speak, that animal knows now that there's an elk within a certain distance. And if they're in an area where they can see and you don't have a tight setup, that animal's going to stop and look and expect to see. And you've just messed everything up. Now, we ended up, Luis and I, with a little bit different situation that we had a conversation about. And that was because I was in shooter, which is real odd for me to have somebody calling for me in the first place. So I'm in shooting position. Luis is back behind me doing a call, and he's doing such a good job that he's actually taken the elk out of my shooting range, because he's down on the side of a ridge, and the bull is in front of me on the ridge, and the bull is actually going over the ridge to go towards Luis. And so I'm actually losing the opportunity, because Luis was doing a great job of calling. So at that point, I actually had to make a decision now, because it's either he's walking off or I'm going to create an opportunity. And I had to turn and call in the different direction to try to stop that bull and bring him back my way. I had to use solo tactics when I did that, though, in order to try to make that happen. And I think as partners, you'll start, if you hunt a lot together, you start to understand those thought processes and what's happening, and that's all that takes. That's just part of the skill set there. So that's a tip.
And to some of that, Joe, I mean, my quick 3 things as an answer to that question were, that first, communication, 2, be selfless, and then 3, make it about friendship and memories and add that relationship with your hunting brothers.
Look, if you're hunting with me, you You had better get in a position and kill that critter, because if you don't, I'm going to kill it.
True story. True story. Not only that, Joe's such an awesome coach, and I've played sports my whole life, and whether it be my boss at work or whether it be, my wife or even Joe as a coach, I don't want to let him down. We work extremely hard in some really tough areas to do what we do. And when you get an opportunity, man, you got to seal the deal. And, I pride myself on that, fellas. I mean, I shoot a lot. I say I shoot a lot. I'm a pretty good archer. I still got pretty decent eyes for as old as I am. And I've always said, if I can get within 80 yards of an elk, he's in serious trouble if I can get my bow drawn back, right, and see through my peep. But even and look, I've been practicing without the peep now, so so we have that failure mechanism under control. But you just want to do so well for your caller that's calling for you. I called for a few days for Brendan, and man, we had so many encounters and a couple of really good opportunities. And I've called a bull in for Joe and for Chav, and there's nothing like calling a bull in for one of your buddies, or a family member or anything like that. It's just there's nothing like it. I could kill 1,000 bulls that are 350, 380 that'll never make me feel as good as the one I called in for whomever,
Absolutely. And, I want to make sure too that I wasn't trying to be counter to what Luis was saying, and I want you to understand what I'm saying here, because having coached a lot of athletes in team sports, I've had kids that had their shot and in a basketball game, and they wouldn't take it because they wanted to kick the ball to somebody else.
Right.
They were unselfish to the point of it affected the ability,
the team performance.
Correct. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And that's where I'm saying is that
there's a fine line there, though, Joe.
Absolutely.
We talked about too.
Absolutely, there is, and that's what I'm trying to say though is, that's like I tell these guys, look, that bull, if that bull comes into your shooting range, our goal as a team to put that animal down. If you have that responsible, good shot, you do that.
Yeah, but that's where you combine that with the communication part.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I've seen guys that and that's the hard part about sometimes having two shooters up, is that one shooter go, he might have the better shot, and then they never shoot because they're like assuming they might get a better shot, so they passed on their good shot, and that's where the animal ends up walking off with nobody getting a shot. So again, the point is, if you have that shot, that is your shot. It is a good, solid shot that you can put it down. Then you take.
It's your responsibility as a team member to take it.
Absolutely, it's actually a selfless act, because believe it or not, to say, well, I got to do this so that my friend doesn't get mad at me. That's almost anti. It really is. So you've got to, we have to understand together what our goal is and get that goal accomplished as a team. So I knew exactly what Luis was saying, but I can tell you this, man, that, as a caller, I bring elk into people all the time. My goal is always for people around me to get an animal. But if I have a bow in my hand and that bull ends up getting in a position, Now you can see on the video where I passed on a bull at probably, I had that spike at, 27, 28 yards. It's hard to tell in the video because videos make things look a little more,
farther away.
Yeah, but there wasn't the shot. I didn't have the right angle. I didn't have that clear shot, because I tell you, if I'd have had it for a second, I'd have taken it. I mean, 1 second. So that wasn't one that I was going to take. So.
I remember one time in one of the first hunt, we were going for shot opportunity, and then we would start counting. Hey, I had a shot opportunity, and then Luis go, I had a shot opportunity too, and then I will go, okay, next one is your shot, and then all of a sudden Joe's go, look, forget that thing. if you have an opportunity, kill that thing. It's an order.
Absolutely. Enough of that crap, guys.
And one of the good thing about the flying V that Joe's always
The flying V, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's there is no dispute with the who's gonna take the shot. If an elk is coming left side, it's gonna be your shot, and that would be a good piece of advice if you are hunting with a partner and have the ability to have a caller for you in that particular hunt.
Yeah. But I've seen guys in the flying V have a bull come straight down the middle. Not
Happened to me and Brenda.
So then, go ahead, Luis, and take that damn shot.
Yeah. Like Brenda said, don't hold your rangefinder in your hand or anything else in your hand. Right? Be ready.
I don't have.
So next,
I don't have it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is I don't have the opportunity very often to hunt with a partner. I pretty much solo hunt, but what I've learned when I do is to have confidence in your setup.
Yeah.
If you have got that bull coming in, stick with the setup. If you got to adjust it, you got to adjust it. But we learned this year really especially that it works. It'll work if we just have faith in it.
So, Chav, you've been my partner for 38 seasons, man. Out there.
Yep.
What advice would you give for somebody hunting with a partner?
Well, when he says, get in position, get in position quick and make sure you have shooting lanes. You guys didn't have the pleasure of hunting with Joe when at his prime. His ears aren't really good right now, but he can still hear the final pitch of a bugle. But when he was younger,
and for some of us, that's actually a good thing.
Good. Hell yeah, because hear him 10 miles away, son. From 10 miles a day to about 25.
But in his younger days, I swear he can hear him walking. He'd say, he's coming on the left side, get ready. And if you wasted your time, you messed up, And back then also, that's where I learned, get in front of the bush, not behind it. You're not going to be able to draw. So, get down quick, make sure you have shooting lanes, and be ready. Be ready to draw.
Yeah, that's the thing. Do not take your time, man. When somebody says get set up and they point, get there like right now, because you do not know how quick things can happen. And
Yeah,
I've heard
I pretty much sprinted down the hill this year to get to where I needed to be.
And
Wondering if I'll bust my tail.
And I've heard people say, it just happened so fast.
Yeah.
you got to be.
Yeah, Manano was a cameraman on that deal. It happened so fast, he hardly didn't get down there with me. I mean,
they cover ground quick.
Yep. So next up, no matter how much e-scouting a person does, no matter what, once you get boots on the ground, it's like, where in the heck do I start? So with that, what would be our best advice to someone in that situation? Now, I'm going to go to somebody that knows a little bit about elk, and he's got a little bit different way of talking about this. So here you go.
Hey everybody, Chris Rowe, Hunting Resources. All right, well, I am down in one of our river bottoms checking this camera. We got a double ladder stand there. We have a sanctuary up there, and we have a sanctuary area back here. This is a pass-through area, and what I want to do is see on this camera what bucks survived the rifle season. And you'll hear people talk all the time about sanctuary areas and sanctuary management when it comes to whitetails, but do not overlook the fact that for elk, sanctuary areas are critical as well. And so if I'm scouting a new area, looking for places to hunt, one of the most important things for me to identify is where those potential sanctuary areas are. Now, here's the tip. Do not overlook the fact that some sanctuary areas might be right behind the trailhead or the road.
how many times we try to tell people, man, that you find those elk, a lot of times you go right by them, you know. And Chris is actually out there in the field checking cams right there, had a little bit of wind, so that was pretty cool. He was able to find time to get that out here. But, you know, if you, and what would we consider, what would we call those sanctuary areas?
Yeah, bedroom, dark timber areas.
Dark timber,
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on the time of year, now the you know, as you get later in the year, those bulls are going to go someplace where where they don't want to be found. They don't, you know, they're like an old guy with in a bad mood. They don't want to be around anybody. They don't want to see anybody. They want to recover. They just need food, some water, and some, you know, good thick trees. And they get someplace where nobody's going to find them. That's a sanctuary. And we have sanctuaries in a sense during the September hunt. There's definitely happening in those later seasons. Now, as you get out of October towards December, out there, late November, December, they come out of those sanctuaries because they got to eat, right?
Slaves to their belly, Joe.
Yep. So, I tell guys, look, when you get there and you look at that big old area and you've done your e-scout and you're like, where? And I mean, things get big, right?
Yeah.
Things get big. So let's ask Ken. Ken, you just went from Maryland out there, man. When you stepped out, what was on your mind?
Yeah, it was I wasn't even close as far as what I thought was going to happen. You know, 1,000 feet to me thought, you know, I'm thinking that's not too bad. I can get up that. Well,
yes,
I was
300
wrong.
yards.
You know, and even that there was the elk I seen were about 850 yards from me, and there was no way I was getting to them with the amount of light that I had. In Maryland, I could get to 850 yards pretty quick. Not there. I mean, even the I did a bunch of e-scouting before I went out, and
contour lines, they lie.
You convert them to meters, and they become less.
Yeah. Well, I had some fields that I thought would be good to set up on, and they were out of my reach, quite honestly, till I got there and realized what I was dealing with. So yeah, it's a big difference from me scouting. Now I have an understanding.
Contour lines lie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, those topo maps, you better pay real good attention when those areas are real close together.
I don't think they get as close as they really are.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, if you get some of the old contour maps, you can probably get a better gauge of that. I mean, actual paper maps. But, you know, I'm telling you, when you start looking at contour lines on Base Map, Onyx, and all those, it might look like it's fairly flat going through an area, and it changes real quick once you start putting the feet on the ground. But
yeah.
But the thing I tell people is trust in exactly what you learned when you did your e-scouting. Now, Ken makes a great point in that, well, I found those fields, but I couldn't get to them. You know, physically they were difficult for him. So that's something to think about there, you know, is not just, okay, there's a field or there's water or there's a north face or, you know, can I get to those things? You got to look at the area between where you are and where you want to be, and you got to understand how to get there. And I'll tell a lot of people that if you will learn how to run ridges, and what I mean by that, each ridges are steeper on the sides, and there's points where they come down that they're a lot easier to traverse moving up. And I will also tell you this, anytime that you're working in country like that, find the elk trails. The elk know the best routes through the hills. They know the easiest way to get through them and the fastest way to get from one area to the other. Elk trails, they are the masters. They live there. It's their home. Learn to use their hallways when you do that. But I think the biggest thing is I had a friend that said that, you know, he had the same problem. He got there and it was like, oh my God, where do I start? Well, if you trust into those things that you learned about knowing where feed is, knowing where the water is, right? You know, if you pay attention to where those bedding areas are and those you know, those travel routes between from one to the other, if you just slow down and just don't take it all in because all of that area is not where the elk are, think about where the elk are, where they're going to be, and then go ahead and have faith in that. Move into those areas, find sign. If you don't find sign, then get the heck out of there and go find another spot, okay? But it's going to be big. But it's kind of like when you go into your kitchen. You can go into your kitchen and you go, man, I'm hungry. And you can start looking through every cabinet, find pots, find pans, find dishes, find fork, find silverware. Or you know what that big old thing looks like that has the food inside of it. And you go to it. So you ain't got to take in everything, man. You ain't
I'm a master on it.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. You know, have faith that you know what those food areas look like, what those water areas look like, what those bedding areas look like, and trust in yourself and go to them. All right? And that would be the best advice as far as that goes. Well, let's listen to some Grinder shout-outs here.
Hi, I'm Scott Baker, and this is my daughter.
Hi, I'm Lola.
And we're from Parker, Colorado. And we just want to congratulate the ElkBros on 100 episodes, and we can't wait to listen and watch the next 100 episodes.
Hey guys, this is Clint Cornell from upstate New York. Wanted to say thank you and welcome to the 100th episode of ElkBros.
Hello, my name is Joseph Grostet. I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'd just like to say a special thanks to the guys at ElkBros for always using my artwork on their Instagram stories. I just have one question for all those hunters out there. Is it September yet?
Hi there, this is Matt from Hyco, Texas. I wanted to give a shout out to the ElkBros podcast. Earlier in 2020, I found out my cousin and I drew limited entry archery elk tags in northern New Mexico, and I was scouring the internet trying to find any sort of advice I could to help me utilize this tag. And with the help of the stuff I learned from the ElkBros on their podcast, my cousin and I capitalized on 2 nice 6-point bulls. So thank you guys.
Way cool, huh?
Cool.
Very cool.
What? Man, those guys are part of the 10%, Joe.
Absolutely,
Around the
man.
corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was perfect going into this because in this section, you know, we always talk about how all of this is about our journey. It's about the trip along the way as an elk hunter. And so I went out there and the question is, what advice we would have for folks about that journey. And this guy, I tell you, man, I have so much respect for Guy over at Western Contours and Chad, 2 great guys in our elk hunting community. Chad over at BackCountry Rookies, and we're going to let them give their advice first of all.
Hey everybody, Guy with Western Contours podcast. When it comes to your journey as an elk hunter, remember that luck is the residue of hard work, so grind it out. Listen, watch, read, sweat. Shoot your weapon often in the off season. Blow those calls year round. Drive your loved ones, your neighbors crazy. Be ready to work on the mountain and embrace every failure as a successful lesson and never stop learning. And when everything comes together, luck won't be able to take any of the credit. Big shout out to the ElkBros on hitting that 100th pant-free episode. You boys, we love everything you're doing. Keep climbing. Take care.
Hey guys, Chad here from BackCountry Rookies. I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you something that I've learned from the ElkBros, and that is take advantage of the opportunities that are given to us to be prepared. It's late December, all the seasons are over, right? And we're not really thinking about elk hunting preparation. We're thinking more about snacking on cookies and Christmas presents. But when I have opportunities like this, and I have sunrises like this in New Mexico, I do not hesitate to get out, go for a run, find a hike to do, and take advantage of the opportunity. It's absolutely important to stay ready for the entire year and be ready when September comes. Thanks, ElkBros.
Thanks, Chad. Way cool.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I have much to add to that, but anybody else?
I was going to say, don't ever stop learning. And as our master sensei Chaff would say, stop and take time to smell the roses. Enjoy the ride,
sure.
because it's a beautiful one.
Yeah, don't count the days, make the days count.
That's right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, Mike, you've been on a journey. Ken, you've been on a journey. Ken, your journey's been a 30-some year journey, man, right?
Yeah, it has. But you know, it's beginning. I'm gonna make everything I can out of it from here on out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we have you heard from him earlier, Mike Wilson up in Ogden, Utah, up there, and Mike just started at 58, just started elk hunting, and his passion and
determination.
yeah, it's so cool to see that, and I credit a lot of that to the guys that I'm involved with right here, the guys that I have, all of us together right now. Is that the reason we do this is because of the passion that we have for being out there and chasing this incredible animal, and for the friendships and the camaraderie and the times, and you know, I hope people see that when they see our video. I hope they get a feel for that, and all of our, you know, funny times that we have, and all the razzing that we do, all of our antics. Yeah, you know, I know that Chav there made a 2-hour trip and froze his butt off just so he could have. You know, right, bud?
Oh yeah, for sure.
One of the coldest nights he's ever spent on the mountain.
Yeah,
he was froze, man. He was like a popsicle chav.
Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it.
Man, you know, for me, it was like so cool to have Chav on the mountain with us, Manano, and I got to, you know, take him up and get out in the middle of a nice clear cut and listen to the bulls bugle, man, and you know, actually
got to see an elk.
Yeah, and got to see elk. I mean, it was
He completed the brotherhood.
Yeah, coup de grace, icing on the cake, however you want to lift it. Our 2020 elk season was complete, man. We had our, you know, one of my mentors, and you know, we call him the ninja and the sensei. I mean, serious business, guys. An amazing elk hunter, but even better person. You guys, man, if y'all get to do this with a group like we do, you count every day as a blessing, because I'm telling you, man, people are what's more important, you know. Absolutely. And the people in your life are what's more important. And right. You know, I ride the river every day with these guys. I tell people all the time, I'd fight hell with a water pistol back to back with each one of them. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, you know. I think if I could say anything to everybody, that, you know, for me, it was never about killing a elk. I mean, it was about killing the elk. Mission accomplished. Now, every time I step in the woods, Joe, it's about a elk. So we don't get picky any longer. And I ain't killed the giant bulls. I've killed some good ones. But, I mean, it is really about, I can't wait for that first day. I was so overzealous this year. I tried to leave a day early. And so, I can't ever wait for that first day to get out of here and get on the road. I mean, it's a 13-hour trek for me, you know, to get to where we're elk hunting. And I'm telling you, you know, we're counting the days, the hours, the minutes right now. So it's going to be an epic 2021, I promise you. But I would just say you guys soak it all up, man, and find some guys that you like to ride the river with if you can. And
that's pretty important.
Yeah, get your family involved, man. You know, Mr. Bozarth has done, and even Mr. Sutton, his wife is so cool to be involved with him on his traveling companion. I mean, that's big, man, and it solidifies relationships. That you make memories that last for a lifetime.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well said, brother.
Yeah. Well said, Beto.
Well, Brendan, you got anything you want to add, brother?
I think I might have lost one of my AirPods.
We can still hear you, brother. Go ahead, carry on.
I think we may have talked longer than their battery life, but I just didn't. You know, I'm thrilled that you guys have me in the group. I was in there for 1 year and lost it for several, and couldn't wait to get back in. And I'm just so thrilled that y'all have welcomed me in, and I'm learning more every time I come up there, every single day. You know, obviously I've made a few mistakes, and learning from them, and trying to get myself better, and hopefully, you know, this year's the year, because me and Chav are due, right, Chav?
Yep. We are.
Absolutely. Well, finish up with some shout outs, and we'll close it out, Gilbert.
Sounds good, brother. Let's hear some more.
Hi, this is Don Primley from Northern Minnesota. Coach, congratulations on your 100th podcast. I'm really proud of you guys supporting Chav. Chav, you're my hero and a champion. God bless you, bro. Keep fighting.
Hello, this is Rich Strait from Lincoln, Nebraska. And to all you grinders out there, yeah! And we hope that you have a great Christmas. And congratulations to the ElkBros for 100 episodes of the Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
My name is Scott Winter, and this here is Piper. We live in Bend, a city that sits on the Deschutes River, where the Cascade Mountains meet the high desert here in Central Oregon.
Hey, this is Alan Jackson from Manitou Beach, Michigan. Got her done in Weldon, Colorado this year with the help of the ElkBros. Thank you guys. Appreciate everything.
This is Kevon Variani from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just want to make a shout out to you guys on your 100th episode. I hope you guys are on for another 900. Hell yeah, ElkBros!
Oh yeah, boy! Get the Albuquerque in the house. That's the way to close it out, Joe. Enough said. Mic drop. We out.
Yeah. Mic drop. We're out of here, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys, Ken, Mike, thanks so much, and Brendan, thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to you guys. I mean, you made my trip easier this year just with what you're teaching. With the elk camp and I just appreciate. Congratulations on the 100 episodes. Looking forward to more.
Look, guys, and we're accessible, man. Y'all need. I'm getting emails daily from people, but if y'all need something from us, y'all reach out to us, man. Joe, myself, Luis, Manano, even Brandon. I mean, we're all in this together, and whatever we can help you guys with, I mean, that's what we're here for. We can't do this without y'all. We're here because of y'all. Like I said, we started something that, the Venezuelan mafia is going to roll with it like thunder. You hear me, dog? I mean, y'all feel me? You know what I'm saying? So this is what's coming down the pike. We can't stop it. If you like what we're doing,
before
guys,
you finish, man, just one thing I want to say. Sure. If any of you, first of all, this week, take a look on Instagram and all of our contests going on, our giveaways, all right? Those are happening. There's one that we started yesterday with our mafia, so you got to see what that is.
Votes are coming in, Joe. I just got to say that. Those need to be counted.
And if you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them, so just send them to chav@elkbros.com.
I do want to thank you guys for having me on. It's been a great honor. I really respect what you guys are doing. I just love how you guys created this cast of characters you are, man. And I really, really appreciate you having me on.
Mike,
it's ours.
Pleasure.
Great having both of you guys.
Everybody.
You bet.
Right.
You bet.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas, everybody.
You bet. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review. You got to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review us, and you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And just a reminder, if any of our listeners would like their questions answered on our show, just send your questions to info@elkbros.com. That's info@elkbros.com. Guys, we will see you guys in the new year, but I would be remiss not to throw you out of here with a big Texas, we love y'all. Husbands, kiss your wives. Wives, kiss your husbands. Hug your babies, keep your broad head sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace, peace. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Christmas.
Peace.